Okay, so in this video, guys, we're going to approach some things you can do from a recovery standpoint to mitigate or to lower your risk for injury on the bike. If you haven't seen my previous video, I did one about some training techniques, some training tips you can use to avoid injuries. We're going to cover some of the recovery stuff here right now, but I will put a link up here to that video if you haven't seen the training video yet. So I'm going to tackle these in really no particular order, so it's not necessarily most to least important or anything like that. But one of the biggest errors I see people make is if you go on a bike ride, after the bike ride, do not just get off the bike and 5 minutes later sit in the car and drive home, anywhere from 20 to 50 minutes. The worst thing you could do is to sit in that position right after you ride. Give yourself some time. Give yourself 10, 15 minutes to move around, even do some light range of motion, maybe even a little bit of stretching, but just to let your body kind of transition just a little bit before you do sit in the car. And if you can avoid sitting, you definitely, it can be a good thing to avoid for, the next, hour at least. So keep yourself moving a little bit. Your body will thank you after that. And this kind of ties into number 2, which do some sort of stretching regimen, whether it's yoga or something else. Even you don't have to go crazy with it. You don't have to spend a half an hour a day or after every bike ride. If you can spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops, just again, moving the joints, getting the muscles opened up a little bit, that just might help to kind of, again, ease that transition to when you do have to be more sedentary if you're, say, going for a ride and then you have to go to work or something like that. Speaking of work, if you can avoid it, this is number 3, well, of course, if you can avoid work, we'd all want to do that, of course, but at work, if you can avoid sitting down, at least some of the time, stand up. That's the big thing. Stand up some at work. You don't have to spend all day there. You don't have to spend, $2,000 on a stand-up desk. Also, incidentally, standing for too long can be just as bad because we tend to fall into bad patterns and some other things. So change your position frequently. Stand up some at work. Make sure you balance your family, your work, and your training. Just from the simple standpoint of you will enjoy your riding more if you know you're good at home or you know you're good at work. Make sure that you've got those priorities set and things are balanced. That just avoids some of that psychological stress. I wanted to note here, since I forgot about it, that there is a great article that I'm going to link in the description below, and it's on a running website. It's called runningphysio.com. And even though it's a running website, it's still very applicable for this scenario. And what it talks about is there are psychosocial effects that can create training errors, and then training errors can lead to injury, of course. And it's a really well-written article. You should check this out. You should actually follow Tom Goom, his website. You should follow him anyway, even if you're not a runner. But this definitely is a valid point, especially when we're talking about the work, training, and family balance. The next thing I would recommend is, as much as possible, eat as clean as you can. This doesn't mean that you have to go on some super strict diet. Do something good for yourself. Get plenty of fiber, all the basics like that. And, you can even dip into things like avoiding foods that increase inflammation. That can be certainly helpful if that works for you from a training standpoint and help you recover better. Recovering from injuries, recovering from workouts. The better you can recover, the less likely you are to then build up an injury. Next, and this is one that's kind of near and dear to my heart because it's one I've struggled with, is make sleep a priority. Especially when the more you train, you need to make sure that you're not burning the candle at both ends. And if you have to get up early for work, you got to try and make sure that you're, not, stuck in front of your tablet at late at night. Make sure you get the amount of sleep that benefits you. And for everyone, that's going to be a little bit different. It might be 8 hours for some. It could be 6 hours for others, and that's fine. But you got to find what works for you. And make sure that you're getting as good a sleep as you can. And the last thing is don't run a water deficit. We can get dehydrated very easily. We are fluctuating frequently. Try and keep yourself as even-keeled as possible, and try and keep that water deficit to a minimum, because your tissues move better when they're hydrated, of course. Inflammation usually gets managed better when we're hydrated. Just pretty much everything works better. You do want to be careful about drinking straight water, because it can work against you a little bit. So having something in the water can help it get absorbed a little bit better. And then we also have the other danger of drinking sugary
drinks too much. So something that's really simple that works is just to take a tiny pinch of sea salt in your water, and that can actually help with its absorption.
So that's it for this video. If you guys have any strategies and kind of a recovery standpoint that have worked for you, there are dozens more. Feel free to put those in the comments below. Also, if you have any questions, put those down there. I'm happy to try and answer them as best I can. And that's it for this one. Check out some other videos and subscribe. Thanks, guys.